The internet doesn't forget, and when it comes to Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza, it never really moves on. Just when everyone thought the noise had finally settled, a fresh wave of online buzz has pulled their names back into the spotlight. New updates, resurfaced clips, subtle interactions. Netizens are once again connecting the dots, asking the same question that has lingered for years. Is there still something between them, or is it something we simply refuse to let go? A familiar story, reignited led. It started, as these things often do, with something small. A clip, barely a few seconds long, began circulating across social media platforms. It showed a moment many had seen before, but this time it was slowed down, zoomed in, analyzed frame by frame. A glance, a smile, a pause that seemed to carry more meaning than the scene required. Within hours, the clip went viral. Comments poured in, theories resurfaced, old emotions came rushing back. For longtime fans, it felt like reopening a chapter that was never fully closed. Netizens speak. There's still something there. Across platforms, netizens began sharing their thoughts, some nostalgic, some analytical, others deeply emotional. They don't even need to talk. You can feel it, one user wrote. Another added, you can't fake that kind of connection, no matter how many years pass. What's striking is how consistent the sentiment remains. Despite the time, despite the changes in both their personal and professional lives, the perception of a special bond between Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza continues to resonate. And every new update, no matter how subtle, seems to strengthen that belief. The power of memory and meaning. Part of what fuels this ongoing fascination is the emotional imprint their partnership left behind. Their story wasn't just about entertainment, it became a shared experience. A moment in time when audiences felt deeply connected, not just to the characters, but to the people behind them. So when new content surfaces, whether it's a throwback video, a public appearance, or even a rumored interaction, it doesn't exist in isolation. It carries history with it, and that history is powerful. Separate paths, shared spotlight. Today, both Alden and Maine have moved forward in their own journeys. Alden Richards continues to take on diverse roles like pushing himself creatively and exploring new dimensions of his craft. Maine Mendoza, on the other hand, has embraced a more personal and grounded path, balancing her career with life beyond the spotlight. They are no longer the constant duo they once were. And yet, whenever their names appear together, even in the most indirect way, the reaction is immediate. It's as if time folds in on itself, bringing the past into the present. Are the updates real or just hope? This is where the story becomes more complex. Not every update is a confirmation. Not every viral post reflects reality. In fact, many of these moments are interpretations, fans reading between the lines, finding meaning in details that others might overlook. But does that make it any less real? For those who have followed their journey from the beginning, these interpretations are part of the experience. They're a way of keeping the story alive, thus of holding on to something that once felt significant, and sometimes belief itself becomes a kind of truth. The beauty of an unfinished story. There's something uniquely compelling about a story that doesn't have a clear ending. No official confirmation, no dramatic closure, no definitive answer, just moments, scattered across time, waiting to be pieced together. That's what makes the connection between Alden and Maine so enduring. It invites people to feel, to interpret, to imagine. And in doing so, it becomes more than just a narrative. It becomes personal. Why this still matters. In an era where content is constant and attention spans are short, it's rare for a story to maintain its emotional impact over time. But this one has. Because at its core, it's not just about two celebrities. It's about connection, something universal, something deeply human. It's about the idea that certain bonds once formed don't simply disappear. They evolve. They linger. They find new ways to be felt. Final reflection. The update that never ends. So, are these new updates proof of something ongoing, or are they reflections of something that once was? Maybe the answer isn't as important as the feeling they create, because every time Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza become part of the conversation again, it reminds people of a connection that meant something then and now. And perhaps that's the real reason the story keeps returning, not because it was never finished, but because in the hearts of those who believe in it, it never truly ended. The cycle of virality, why it always comes back. Every few months, the same pattern repeats itself. A clip resurfaces, a photo gets reshared, a comment thread explodes, and once again, the names of Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza dominate timelines. This cycle isn't accidental, it's emotional momentum. When a story leaves a strong imprint, the internet doesn't just recall it, it revives it. Algorithms pick it up, fans engage with it, and suddenly something from years ago feels like it's happening again in real time. That's the strange power of digital memory. It doesn't preserve the past quietly, it replays it loudly. The role of fans in keeping the story alive. If there is one undeniable force behind this ongoing fascination, it is the fans. They are not just observers, they are participants in the story's continuation. Every edit, every compilation, every throwback moment shared online adds another layer to the narrative. Some fans analyze expressions, others revisit interviews. Some focus on timelines, searching for meaning in gaps and pauses, and even those who simply watch silently contribute to the cycle. Attention itself becomes fuel. In that sense, the story of Alden and Maine is no longer just theirs, it has become collective. Between reality and emotion, one of the most interesting aspects of this phenomenon is how it blends fact with feeling. On paper, both stars have clearly defined their individual paths. There are professional boundaries, personal lives, and separate commitments. Nothing official suggests an ongoing romantic connection. And yet, emotionally, many fans experience something different. They don't just see two celebrities, they see a shared history that still feels alive in fragments, a chemistry that once felt so natural it became unforgettable. This is where logic and emotion quietly diverge, because even when reality moves forward, emotion sometimes lingers in place. The silence that speaks loudest. There is also something powerful about what is not said. Neither Alden Richards nor Maine Mendoza actively fuels the speculation. There are no dramatic statements, no public reopenings of old narratives. Instead, there is distance, respectful, steady, and consistent. But in the world of fandom, silence is never empty. It is interpreted, sometimes as closure, sometimes as mystery, sometimes as possibility. And that ambiguity is exactly what keeps conversations alive. Why this story refuses to fade. Most celebrity pairings eventually fade into memory. A few interviews, a nostalgic post, and then silence. But this one is different. It continues to resurface because it sits in a unique emotional space between confirmation and imagination, between past and present, between what was shown and what was felt. It is not sustained by new events alone, but by meaning that fans continue to find within old ones. That is why even a simple update can feel like a revival, not because something new has necessarily happened, but because something unfinished is still emotionally active. The human side of the fascination. At its core, this ongoing attention says less about celebrity culture and more about human nature. People are drawn to stories that feel real, even when they are incomplete. They are drawn to connections that seem genuine, even when they are undefined. And sometimes they are drawn to the idea that certain moments in life are too meaningful to simply end neatly. The story of Alden and Maine sits right in that emotional space. Not fully closed, not actively continuing, but still remembered with warmth. Final reflection. When a story becomes a feeling. In the end, the latest updates circulating online may not change anything concrete. There may be no new confirmations, no hidden revelations, no dramatic shifts, but they do something else entirely. They remind people of a feeling. A feeling first sparked when Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza shared a screen, a moment, and a connection that left a lasting mark. And perhaps that is why this story continues to return again and again in different forms. Because some stories don't survive through updates or endings. They survive through memory, through emotion, and through the people who refuse to let them fade.